It's time for TV Skywriter. Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to TV Skywriter. I'm Pat Murray, your host. TV Skywriter is kind of like an offshoot of the Durham Skywriter, this Durham, North Carolina's online community paper. The big difference is that I talk to people all over the world, although my guest today is from Durham. My guest is Aretha Best. Let me get her credentials here. She's a public speaker. She deals with hope and inspiration and also personal development. Also, Aretha Best is a business coach and consultant and entrepreneur. Welcome to the show, Aretha Best.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Actually, I met you. This is really funny.
Crazy.
You had taken it upon yourself to do a 30-day challenge where you would get the nerve up to speak in front of the camera, all right? And that's where I spotted you and introduced myself.
Right, exactly.
So tell us about that challenge, because not everybody has the nerve to even do what you did.
Exactly, and that's exactly why I did it, Pat, because in my conversations with people, I discovered, not just with other people, but with myself as well, I discovered that people were terrified of getting before the camera. And I'm one of those people. I'm very competitive, and if you want me to do something, just challenge me, okay? So I wasn't waiting for anybody to challenge me. I decided to challenge myself. I said, if that's a fear of people, we need to break through, because everything that I was reading was going the way of video, video marketing. After all, we're online, right? So, and there's so many distractions when we're online, at least for me. You click on something, it takes you over here, it takes you over there. Before you know it, you end up down the street from where you started, right? So people are more apt, according to the surveys, to click on a video. And so I said, okay, if that's the new thing, I'm not going to be left behind. I got to jump in on this. So I was waiting for my website to come up. I'm waiting for my blog. I've been working on those things, and everything hadn't really fallen into place. So I said, while I'm waiting, I'm just one of those kind of people. Let me find something productive to do. So the idea came to me to do a challenge, a video challenge. And so that's kind of where that came from. I'm always looking to grow. Like I said, like you said earlier, personal development is one of the things that I do. So if I am going to be teaching and helping other people with personal development, hey, I got to start with myself. So that's kind of what led into my 30-day video challenge.
I thought it was a good idea. I mean, a lot of people are afraid of going online in front of the camera, but all you did, although it was a lot, was simply talk in front of a camera for a few minutes. Exactly. I'm saying simply, but for a lot of people, even that's hard. So how hard was it the very first time?
Well, I'm a talker. You can probably kind of see that. I love to talk. I guess for me, it was thinking about, all those things we think about. How do I sound? How do I look? What is somebody going to think? We always are worried about what somebody else thinks. So those were the kind of first few fears of mine. How is it going to come out? Is it going to look professional? Then I decided that, what? That's why I'm doing the challenge. I'm doing it so I can grow. I wanted to be more authentic. Not that I was unauthentic before, but I wanted to have that experience of being in front of a live camera and knowing how it felt to wing it, just be yourself, right? And so it was a little scary at first, but like I said, I'm always looking to challenge myself and to grow. And so I wasn't going to let that stop me.
Every day you got more and more comfortable, I noticed.
You did? Okay. Yeah, I did.
At first, just like with me, when I first went online, I was scared to death. In fact, I started with radio, but when I did my first radio show, which was a music show, I wrote down everything I said. So I was like, I was reading a script, and then I realized, what am I afraid of? Are they going to fire me? Of course not. But then you relax and you just talk in front of the camera. You look right there into the camera and you just talk. I pretend like I'm talking to my sister Cookie. That's my trick.
Exactly. That's exactly what I did. I looked at other videos and I took note of what I liked in other people's videos. When I'm looking at somebody, I was taking note of what drew me to that person. And more times it was them just being themselves. I was watching this one entrepreneur, and she, much like yourself just now, she had to go get her plug.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, her leg was in the
The
air,
earphones.
you
Uh-huh.
know, she was over here stretching, trying to plug in. And meanwhile, the audience, we're sitting there and I'm looking, I'm thinking, wow, she's just doing what she has to do. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
scripted. And I
Mm-hmm.
think people are after that, Pat. I really believe that we're tired of the fluff. Well, let me speak for
Mm-hmm.
myself. I was tired of the fluff. I just wanted somebody to be real, honest, show me what to do, help
Mm-hmm.
me as an entrepreneur. And I found that when I saw other videos where people were just themselves, I liked it. And so I
Mm-hmm.
figured if I can capture that type of authenticity, then that's going to work for me because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to brand myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get people to, say, hey, let me hear what she has to say. I want to be a person of influence. I want to have, like Oprah, the Midas touch. When I speak, I want
Mm-hmm.
people to listen. So
Right.
I gotta learn I have to learn the formula.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm discovering is people just want you to be yourself, So
And we are becoming our own brands nowadays. I mean, it's very
yes.
important. There are two people in particular, I'm not going to mention their names, who contacted me because they're having a hard time on another platform.
Hmm.
And they were being accused of not presenting themselves well. And I'm not going to say it was their fault. I told them this because they both had pretty much the same problem. Um, Being real and keeping it real does not
Hmm.
necessarily mean uh, uh, doing broadcasts from bed or not being dressed appropriately. Even if you're just being casual online, I think it's always best to have your clothes on.
Absolutely.
And, and like I said, rolling over and turning on the camera does not equate keeping it real to me.
True. I
Because
agree.
if people complain about you're not being professional or being weird, then that's not a good thing. Because
I agree.
when you want to be professional, then people won't listen. So I told both of these people to disappear for a while and then come back, make a comeback, and dress appropriately and act more appropriately. I mean, what's the
Right.
best you can do? Reboot, right?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
I'm all for professionalism
mhm.
all day long. Yeah, I'm all for professionalism. Some people do take it a little bit far, and I think those people they miss the essence of what we're talking about here.
Yeah,
So yeah, you're absolutely right.
yeah. Now you say you're a public speaker, right? And you deal with such topics as hope and inspiration. So
Correct.
I'd like to hear more about that.
Okay, absolutely. Well, I used to do parent education. I was a trained or uh, I was, yeah, I was trained as a parent educator. So what
Mm-hmm.
I would do is I would go around conferences and speak about parenting issues. I used to teach and train parents. I spoke. I've been to Chicago, twice, your hometown,
Hometown, yay!
and around Durham and Raleigh and other parts. And so I'm a speaker. It's just that I had to find my niche. And having
Mm-hmm.
young children at the time, I was interested. Parenting doesn't come with a manual. So I had to take some training classes. And after I did that, I sort of like fell into that. And so that's kind of where I got my start as a speaker.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really realize at the time that it was something that I could really monetize. So I kind of, fell off from that and did other things, but still, I guess unofficially spoke, as I was involved in different businesses. But as far as hope and inspiration, my platform is based on that, on giving people hope and inspiring people. My network is called Dream Big Now, and I talk a lot about dreaming big. I talk a lot about quote Ellen Johnson Sirleaf when she says, if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. I'm trying to trigger some things in people. I want to bring out that greatness that I know that we all have in our own capacities. And so that's kind of where that came from. I really had to find myself, really, to be honest, to know what exactly I was trying to do. So I've been trying to do this stuff over the years, but in a different format. And I had to find the right format. And I'll tell you how I found that. I reached out to a gentleman probably about 2 years ago. I was looking for a new business, as if I hadn't been involved in enough already. I was looking for a new business, and I found this guy on YouTube. I liked his energy. I liked his passion. I liked his drive. So I reached out to him on Facebook. I found him. And I reached out and said, hey, are you still involved in this particular business? And he told me that he was not. And I was so crushed. I was disappointed because I wanted to hook up with him. I liked his energy. But let me tell you what he told me. Young kid, about 25 years old. He came back and he said, look, he said, brand yourself. He says, you are the brand. You are your business. He says, I would advise you not to get into this business or any other business. He says, you get into the business of you. And, you know, I listened to him and I was like, you know what, thanks, but no thanks. I'm looking for a business. I'm trying to make some money, right? So I eventually joined that business under somebody else. And, but it kept nagging me what he had told me. This young 25-year-old kid,
How about that?
it kept nagging at me. And finally I said, you know what? He's right. He's right. We're all born with different gifts, talents, and abilities. And that's essentially what we bless the world with. So I kind of found myself, Pat. I just kind of found myself, you know. I took his advice and I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it. And so that's kind of where all that has come from. I'm not chasing people anymore, trying to sign them up to a business. I'm the business. I'm the brand. I'm the network, you know, and so are you. So that's my message. That's my platform. And so here I am.
Wonderful. So when you tell people to dream big now, I'm curious, what kind of dreams do people have nowadays?
What kind of dreams?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? You would be really surprised in my conversations with people. It's not that people don't dream. It's that we're so busy chasing after the wrong stuff that we forget to pursue our dreams. This is what I found. You know, as I used to sit in a cubicle all day, I would think the same thing. I want to do this. I want to do that. Most people have dreams, but they're stuck to a job that won't allow them, you know, the time or energy to dream big and to actually step out and do something, take action. So when I talk to people, one of the things that I'm gifted at is once I kind of get to know you, I can see that, I can see a business, I can see something in you, and I'm able to tell you that and actually to pull it out of you. And so once I discovered that was a gift that I had, I'm building my platform around that. One of my clients right now is just that, you know, I start talking to her and I started telling her, encouraging her, you know, you're smart. You have all this stuff in your head. You need to be in business for yourself. And guess what? Not everybody listens, but she listened. Everything I told her to do, she did it. And so I'm still working with her. I'm still coaching her and still, you know, getting her to a point in everything. I told her to jump on the video and do a video. She did do one video, but yeah, so that's kind of what my platform is all about, is just inspiring people to look inside themselves, because there's greatness inside of all of us in different capacities. So yeah.
That is so true. That is so wonderful that you're able to do that. I remember back in the 90s, I told my sister Cookie that we're going to have to start, just, you know, general public, we're going to have to start creating our own jobs. That was way back in the 90s.
Wow.
Yeah. And I said, we're going to have, now I hadn't quite done that. Well, I guess I had in a way, because I was working, but I always had a side hustle. And my side hustle just happened to be media.
Okay.
And I started a community paper in Chicago, and now I do it here in Durham. Now that I'm in Durham, North Carolina. But yeah, I always thought that if you can do, Pop always taught us if you can do something, do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I can take pictures, so I take pictures.
Mm-hmm.
I can write, so I have an online newspaper. I mean, there's no reason not to do what it is that you can do. And I have met so many people. Like, I shouldn't give her name. I won't give her name. She is really intelligent and very articulate. She's an excellent writer,
Mm-hmm.
but this young lady does not think she's a writer. You know why?
Why?
She's not a great speller. And I said,
Okay.
spelling and writing are two different things. Anybody can look over your stuff and correct it.
Right.
But I couldn't convince her. People
Yeah.
need to have more faith in themselves.
True.
And in fact,
Absolutely.
if you do have a problem, there's usually a way to work around it.
Yes.
You know,
I agree.
ask anyone with a disability who has a job. I'll bet they've had to make adjustments, and their jobs have probably had to make adjustments so they can use their talents. You know,
Absolutely.
so I actually went to a school with a lot of kids with disabilities, and it was the regional school, Neal School in Chicago. At least at that time, was the regional school for kids with disabilities. And just from watching them, I learned a lot
Mm-hmm.
about how to use workarounds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that that can really come in handy as an adult.
Yes.
If you have a problem,
And
just work around it.
you're right. And people need to hear that. And people like me and people like we're that voice that tells people those things. You can do and be whatever. If there's no door, create a door.
Mm-hmm.
If the door won't open, I say knock it down. I'm just radical like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I grew up with brothers.
Oh,
No sisters.
okay.
So yeah, I'm just radical like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I really get so much joy out of inspiring people, just seeing that gleam in someone's eye when they realize, like you just said, they start to believe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan of the Matrix trilogy, and I don't know if you've ever watched that movie or that series, but
I think I watched part of it.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
Mm-hmm.
there's a part where Neo finally believed that he was the one. Well, he was the one the whole time. He just didn't believe it.
Okay.
And so that's what I enjoy. I enjoy helping people. Not that I'm a savior or a god or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but I enjoy helping people discover that what you're looking for
Mm-hmm.
is right there, is in you. It's already in you. And
Sometimes
so
just
that's why
sometimes just planting that idea.
it's just planting that idea and hope. The reason why I chose that as part of my platform, because if you look up what hope is, it's the expectation, it's the believing. You have to believe. So
Mm-hmm.
hope gives you something to hold on to. So if I can just spark that
Mm-hmm.
inside of people in my day-to-day life, in whatever platform that I'm blessed to have, if I can spark that in people, in myself, in my children, then I feel like that's what I have come here to do. I talk a lot about leaving your footprint
Mm-hmm.
in the earth. What footprints are you going to leave when you're gone? So, that's, like I said, all that's part of what I speak about when I do speak. I haven't spoken a whole lot,
Mm-hmm.
like massively, but when I do get an opportunity to speak, and I hope that's going to increase,
Mm-hmm.
that's part of what my platform is all about.
Okay. Now I do know that you're a business coach, and I need to ask you this, Aretha. Um, when you watch the Disney Channel, and I love kids programming, very often on the Disney Channel, they tell you to follow your dreams. And that's fine. I mean, I agree with that. But I see people give up real fast too. And sometimes I wonder if when we tell people to follow their dreams, that we have to tell them that a lot of work's going to be involved too. Case in point, I was listening to an interview of a famous writer who had family and obligations and this and that. This
Right.
writer got up at 4 in the morning and he writes 3 hours from 5 until 8 until it's time to go to work.
Hmm.
And I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
wow.
Yeah.
And of course, work is not the 9 to 5 job. I mean, he's a writer, he's a famous writer, but he, well, he said the work, his, when he, what he calls work is marketing his stuff
Hmm.
and getting his work out there and speaking and doing this and that. But of course, he's always working on something new. And
Hmm.
because just because he has a book out, he says you always have to work on something new. So from
Hmm.
5 until 8 in the morning, he sits his butt down and he writes 3 hours a day.
You know, if I'm going to be honest, Pat, I I hear exactly what you're saying because early on, I didn't realize how much work that was involved.
Mm-hmm.
And I discovered that every time I would get to that, okay, you need to get up at 4 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you know what? I'm not trying to get up at 4 o'clock, but I was not successful.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. There is work involved that we don't anticipate. And and that's why I said I'm tired of the fluff. Just give it to me straight. Once you lay it all out for people, in fact, when I work with people, there's certain criteria, and if you can get kicked out of my program real quick because
Uh-oh.
if you're not doing something, like if I give a deadline for some homework or something and it's not completed, okay, you're not ready.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're hungry, Pat, you do the work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a judgment on anybody because we all have to start somewhere. Because I'm sure at some point in my life early on, I got kicked out of a whole bunch of programs because I got to that point, I didn't do the work and I was dismissed.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just a journey that we're all on. And when someone, when I come across people that don't realize how much work is involved, I just hope that they discover that until you're ready to put in the work, it's not going to happen. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I went down that same road. So, yeah. So yeah, you're right about that.
And
You're right
also,
about that.
what's really funny is when somebody gets a lucky, what we call a lucky break. A lot of times, we don't even realize how much work has gone into that.
Right. Exactly. And people need to hear those stories.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I champion what you do when you
Well, thank you.
interview people from different industries, from different walks of life. We get to hear what's behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I just want to pause and say thank you for the
Thank you.
platform that you provide because we need it. We need it. We need it so badly because
Well, thank you,
people
Aretha.
do need to know what goes on behind the scene. And so, so thank you.
Well,
Thank you for
thank
what you
you.
do. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Tell us about your Facebook page because that's another thing that I find really interesting that you do. I do post in the Durham Area Business Group Facebook page every day. So tell us about that and what your plans are for that group.
You have asked the $1 million question because I started that group about 3 or 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to work with this gentleman, and he would say, Aretha, what are you going to do with that group? That's you're sitting on gold. You're sitting on gold. What are you going to do with it? So I had a whole lot of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
My reason for doing it was to bring local business people like you and I together.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to help us find each other. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I started the group. But there's so many things that you can do with a group like that. You can monetize it. I didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I just I went with my gut feeling about it. I
Mm-hmm.
just wasn't led to go down that route. But let me tell you, having that group and meeting people in that group, I mean, it has been really phenomenal. After all, that's how you and I met.
Yeah. Now
For the
Barb
Exactly.
who's
We're right here in Durham together, and Durham
mhm.
is not that big, but we've
It's
never
not huge
met
at all.
except for in that group,
Right.
And
Now
so,
check this out. Check this out. Barb, who's in the audience, has just typed out, you gals should team up and interview the group members together.
oh wow, that's an
Uh-huh.
idea.
That's an
That's an
idea.
idea.
Okay.
That is
Thank
that's a
you,
great
Barb. We will do that.
thanks, Barb. That's a great idea. But
Wonderful.
yeah, so and people, you know what? I was just shocked. that people were more excited about that group than I was.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept thinking, what's the magic here? You know, and I still don't know if I've really discovered it, because I haven't done anything with the group besides invite members. You know, we're posting our our various activities. And so, you know, hey, who knows? Maybe you have some ideas around that. I don't know. We can talk about that.
Sometimes I find information that I add to the Durham Skywriter. You know, they're announcing like blood drives or whatever, and I'll put that in the Skywriter. So for me, it's great because I get information that sometimes slips by me. I can't possibly know about absolutely everything that's happening in Durham. So I love that page. That, let me get the name right, the Durham Area Business Group Facebook page. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it because there's so many people out there who are trying to get out there as well. And so,
exactly.
So do you allow, you want people who have businesses in Durham to sign up, right? Let's encourage them to do that.
Right. And I have control over who can join the group. So everybody in the group is not just from Durham. There's people from Raleigh and Cary, you know, the triangle.
Okay. Yeah.
There's also some people from some other places, not a whole lot, just a few people that I've connected with, that's in the group as well. But the majority of the people are from Durham.
Cool.
And Raleigh.
Yeah. Excellent. So we have a couple minutes left. So why don't you give us a little overview of how you want us to follow you or get in contact with you and keep up with what you're doing?
Okay, certainly. My fan page on Facebook is Aretha Best, just my first and last name. My Twitter handle is the same thing, twitter.com/Aretha Best. My Instagram is Aretha McDowell, which is my maiden name. So that's how you will find me there. And let's see, I'm on LinkedIn. But yeah, I can be found on those pages. Now, if you want to know a little bit more about what I do as far as my consulting and my coaching, you can go to about.me/Aretha Best, and you can read a little bit more about my consulting, my business consulting.
Excellent. Where do you see yourself? Okay, this is what people ask when they're, hiring someone. So let me ask you this question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
That's a good question. Of course, I want to have a wider and a larger audience. I haven't thought a lot about that, honestly. I really haven't. And I'm giving that some thought now. You know, that's kind of what I've been thinking about recently. You know, where do I see myself in 5 years? What I'm focusing on, I can tell you this, I'm focusing on, of course, my brand, building my brand, becoming just my authentic self, because I believe that that's what's going to speak to people, to my audience. I do want a larger platform. I do plan to interview people and, get people's stories. But beside that, I haven't really given it, I haven't worked all that out. But I do know that I want to be on a large platform. Hey, I want to be the next Oprah.
All right.
I know that's not going to happen in 5 years, but I'm working on
Who
that.
Who knows? I mean, I saw her when she first started in Chicago on Channel 7. She did a 30-minute show that followed the news. It was a very casual, one of those morning talk shows. And she took it from there.
Yeah.
It probably took her about 5 years to get up there.
Okay. Yeah. I want a platform where I can give people, much like yourself, exposure. People that have written books, who have businesses, people who have stories of inspiration and hope. I want a platform where I can help expose these people to the world. And so I know it sounds real general and everything, but that's kind of the direction I'm heading in.
And we'll follow you in your journey. We do have to go, but you are new to Fire Talk. You do have a channel.
I sure do.
So I invite folks, maybe this interviewing that Barb is suggesting will be done on your channel.
Absolutely. I'm all for it. As long as you help me and guide me, Pat, because you're the pro when it comes to Fire Talk and blab and all that,
no problem.
Then I feel like I'm in safe hands. I'll be calling on you.
Okay. Now, what's your Fire Talk channel? Is it Aretha Best?
My Fire Talk channel is actually Dream Big Now.
Okay. And spell that, because you have like an extra letter in there.
I do. I have, there's two G, so it's DREAMBIGGNOW. And the reason for that extra G is just that, extra. I want you to drink extra.
Okay.
I do everything big, Pat.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you so much for being on the show, Aretha Best.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And I hope you enjoyed the show today, folks. If you'd like to be a guest on TV Skywriter, the quickest way to contact me is via Twitter at Durham Skywriter. And with that, Patricia A. Murray signing off. Be sure to read the Durham, North Carolina's online community newspaper, the Durham Skywriter, durhamskywriter.com. I'm going to sign off right now, then we can hang out afterward because I think we have a couple of viewers who might want to jump on camera. So I'll say goodbye for now. Ciao, folks.
Goodbye, Pat. Thank you.